So to tag on that, the story that we're teaching in kids' church this morning is the story of Paul shipwrecked on the island. And I felt the word of the Lord say, many of us hear the story about Jesus calming the storm. And we are in the storms of our own lives and finding ourselves yelling, peace be still, peace be still. But nothing seems to change. But there's a story later in the word where God's people were not supposed to set sail. Paul told them, do not set sail. And they did it anyway. And they ended up being tossed and turned in the waves. And things began to look really grim for them because they had not obeyed the word that God had given them. But God came to Paul in a dream. And Paul came back before the people and he said, wait, God came to me in a dream. We're going to get through this. God showed me the promise ahead is that I'm going to appear before Caesar. The crew did not partner with the word of the Lord, but Paul said, the word of the Lord says this. Paul was your Joshua and your Caleb from the Old Testament. Paul said, but God said this. So at 10 days later, they were all dying, and Paul said, God's going to rescue us, eat your food. So they ate their last meal, and they threw the rest of it over. They woke up the next morning, and their ship hit a rock, dismantled. They all grabbed planks and rowed in. But that night, they decided to partner with Paul, and they thanked God for the food. They made the decision that they believed that God was going to rescue them. They got into that, they washed up on the island. The islanders are friendly. They got onto it. Paul gets bit by a snake. You heard the rest, right? Many of us are at this point. We've been shipwrecked and we've clung back to the promise and we're trying. You ride up on the island, you've been bit by a snake, but you're trying. And I believe the word of the Lord says this morning, believe. If God has given you a word, do not look at the giants. Do not look at the ship. Do not look at the snake. Look at Jesus. Stay the course. Partner with the word of the Lord. Keep the faith. Believe the promise. Look at Jesus. So come if God has moved on you.